Hello, we're Group 10, and this is our Spring 2018 Caterpillar Case Competition. Let's start off with some introductions. My name's Morgan DeHaan. I'm a senior, and I study marketing and supply chain management.
I am Allie Nordstrom, and I'm also a senior studying supply chain management as well as marketing.
My name is Riker Steer, and I'm also a senior studying supply chain management, but not marketing. So moving forward, our agenda for today is to first go through the assumptions that we made to develop our situations, and then talk about how we modeled those and what sort of costs they came out to, and then give an in-depth scenario evaluation, followed by talking about the potential ripple effects, and then making a conclusion with our final recommendations. We created 3 situations that we then modeled to look for total cost. The first situation we created was a hybrid structure with the 2 hubs being A and J, the warehouses A and J, and the rest of the warehouses being spokes. In order to create the structure, we thought that there should be a 75 to 25% split in their demand. So 75% of the time they'd be serving the spokes, and 25% they'd be serving their local demand. So their primary role would be to support the spokes, and then their secondary demand, or their secondary role would be to support their network. The second situation also follows hub and spoke, but the only hub would be warehouse A. So due to long lead times, there would be high safety stock. So we would assume that they would meet all their demand. Situation 3 is a single tiered structure. And since it's a flat tier, there would be such long lead times that they would all carry safety stock. And then our general assumptions were that if a warehouse becomes a hub and absorbs spoke demand, it maintains the necessary capacity to meet all of the spokes. That the labor costs were $1 for hubs, from $1 from hub to spoke for cross-docking, and $1.80 for the hub's own order fulfillment. Our next general assumption was that lead times to hubs was 45 days, and then there was 3 days to spokes. And then lastly, that yearly total cost was the sum of order cost, carrying costs, and labor costs. So then moving on. We found total ordering costs to be the same because lead times and service levels don't change across situations. Labor costs were slightly different because the hubs and the spokes incurred different costs per order. And carrying costs were varying drastically since the lead times and safety stock differed amongst hub and spokes. So on the bottom portion of the slide, there is pros and cons to each situation. The first situation is beneficial because the hubs only serve local demand, and that's a very simple system. But the drawbacks are that it is more expensive than situation 2, and it complicates the role of the hub by having them serve both local demand and their spoke demand. Situation 2 simplifies the role of the hub even further to say that it only serves their spokes. And this also provides significant cost savings. The downside of this is that the demand of the spokes may outweigh the hub's capacity. And then in situation 3, the perk is that each spoke manages their own safety stock. But the downside is that this is the most expensive situation, and that expertise is lost since there's no hub fully focusing on servicing the spokes. So with that all in mind, and not thinking about other assumptions, we recommend going with situation 2 because it has the lowest cost. But we'll move forward to talk about what we might recommend as assumptions change.
Thanks, Riker. This is Allie Nordstrom now talking, and I'll be taking over the scenario analysis. So as we established, we recommend that CAT executes with situation 2, which is a single hub with many spokes. If this one central hub is in an optimal geographic location, situation 2, as seen in the photo on the left. This way, it can serve majority of the country relatively easily as it is in a centralized location. Although if one hub is not an optimal geographic location, Situation 2 may not be as feasible as it would incur much heavier transportation costs both to the hub from the manufacturer and from the hub to the spokes. Even though our data may suggest that situation 2 is optimal, if this location were realistic, it would not be. So analysis of that data would be necessary in order to improve our recommendation. An inconvenient geographical location would limit the types and frequency of our transportation availability, thus hindering percentages of on-time deliveries and leading to the spokes and leading to an increased transportation cost. Next, demand scenario analysis. When analyzing demand distribution and ordering patterns, we looked at how situation 2 varied when looking purely at safety stock levels versus demand capacities. We found that when looking at an optimal safety stocks only, situation 2 was a clear winner, as the hub certainly has the capacity to maintain safety stocks for the spokes. Although when looking at how demand was allocated in a similar right, situation 2 may not be the clear winner, as seen on the right. Although this may seem like a pitfall, we view the one hub in situation 2 will serve more as a cross-docking warehouse than anything else, thus alleviating any stress pertaining to capacity.
Thanks, Allie. This is Morgan DeHaan, and I'll be finishing off our presentation. So moving forward, we want to address the ripple effects that a network redesign may impart on Caterpillar parts. In going with the single hub and spoke situation, this will force Warehouse A to go from operating as the largest warehouse in the current network to shifting into a distribution center type of role. The daily operations will therefore shift to adapt to increased cross-docking and more rapid pick, pack, ship requirements. This most likely will cause pushback from employees during the training phase and admittedly may not be as efficient during their learning curve. Further, situation 2 will cause the hub location to have increased demand while trying to increase capacity. Therefore, this may lower their service levels to the spokes. In the short term, we also will see transportation costs rise as the network redesign is implemented and the adjustment phases shake themselves out. Some smaller ripple effects Caterpillar may experience are issues and confusion within customer support when customers aren't sure where they should be ordering from, or when customer support is in the turnover phase. Lastly, CAT may see a ripple effect of inaccuracies in service levels or expected demand that are inherent given the increase in capacity at the hub. So, in conclusion, we find that our second situation, the single hub and spoke format, to be the most cost-effective. Thus, we recommend that it be the network redesign utilized, subject to having a central geographic location, a warehouse capacity that is driven by safety stock, and the improved communication that comes from following a distribution center structure. And with that, we want to thank you for your time and wish you the best of luck in your future network redesign endeavors.